Imagine holding a diamond so pure, so absolute, that even if it falls into the deepest filth of the earth, its brilliance remains completely untouched. What if I told you that this exact diamond already exists inside you? Centuries ago, the mystic poet Kabir revealed a secret about the seed of devotion, a seed that can never perish, no matter how harsh the fires of life become. But how deep does this indestructible power truly go? How did a Tibetan saint walk effortlessly across water after leaping from a deadly cliff? Why did a frustrated farmer, given absolute control over the rain and sun, end up with a harvest completely stripped of its sweetness? And what profound secret made the greatest musician in Imperial India declare that his genius was nothing compared to a master who sang in the dark forest at 4 a.m.? Today, we journey through ancient miracles, royal codes, and sacred rivers to uncover the ultimate summit of human love. We will explore how simple affection transforms into an immortal force that conquers death itself. Take a deep breath, quiet your mind, and prepare to hear the eternal song of the universe. This is the timeless wisdom of Saint Kabir. Let's begin.
Today's couplet is a profound teaching by Kabirji dedicated entirely to the path of devotion. To understand this deeply and align our lives with its truth would be the greatest achievement of our human existence. The couplet is as follows. Bhakti bij bin sai nahi, ai pade jo chol. Kanchan jo bishta pade, ghate na tako mol. Meaning is, the seed of devotion never perishes, even when it enters a mortal body, just as gold never loses its value, even if it falls into filth. In simple terms, we can understand that the seed of devotion can never be destroyed. Once this seed takes root within us, it remains indestructible. No matter how deeply it gets buried, or which corner of our physical body or mental state it recedes into, it can never be extinguished. It is truly immortal. This seed of devotion is like a diamond. A diamond is so strong and resilient that no matter where it falls, it remains completely unharmed. Even if it lies in the midst of filth, its purity, brilliance, and value remain entirely unaffected. In other words, we can say that devotion holds the brilliance of a diamond. Just as a diamond is the most precious of gems, when devotion for the Lord awakens in someone's heart, their very being transforms into something as valuable as a diamond. Now, we must understand, what is devotion, and where does it come from? It begins when love awakens within our hearts. Whether that love is directed toward the Lord, toward our children, or toward a beloved partner, when this love matures, it naturally transforms into devotion. That is why it is said, as Jesus Christ taught, love is God, and God is love. Initially, love is fluid, like a liquid. But when it deepens and condenses into something solid, when our love for someone becomes so intense and unwavering that living without them feels impossible, that very love evolves into devotion. Our connection with the Lord begins with simple love, and as that love expands to its fullest potential, it becomes devotion. Think of it this way: love is the first step, and devotion is the final summit. If love is a diamond, then devotion is a supreme, flawless diamond. It can never be destroyed under any circumstances. It possesses this indestructible strength because it is born from love, and that love is the very essence of the divine. Ultimately, there is no difference between true devotion and God Himself. If we explore this truth even more deeply, we can look back at our history and see countless devotees who were subjected to immense suffering and torture, yet they always remained completely safe. This is because a true devotee becomes the very embodiment of the Lord, and we all reside within the divine. Therefore, our true essence can never be destroyed. Consider the example of Prahlad. He was thrown off a mountain, yet he suffered no harm because God resided deeply within him. He was a great devotee of the Lord. When he was locked in a pit of venomous snakes, the serpents became his friends because he carried that divine presence. Attempts were made to burn him alive, but even the flames could not touch him, because true devotion transforms into the very form of God. When devotion reaches such a lofty height in life, there remains absolutely no difference between the devotee and the divine. Similarly, consider the story of the Tibetan saint, Milarepa. He was instructed to jump off a cliff, and after leaping, he was found safely at the bottom, sitting peacefully in deep meditation. The hut he lived in was set on fire, yet when people went searching for him among the flames, they found him sitting untouched, absorbed in meditation. This is the supreme form of devotion. Later, when Milarepa was asked to walk on water, he simply bowed to his master and walked across the surface as effortlessly as someone walking on dry land. Yet, when his master attempted to walk on the water himself, he began to sink. When you attain a state of complete and unconditional devotion, you become entirely indestructible. Nothing in this world can destroy you. Once, a gentleman approached Mahavatar Babaji in the Himalayas, deeply desiring to become his disciple. Because Mahavatar Babaji was all-knowing, he immediately saw that the seeker had not yet reached a state of complete devotion. However, after the seeker pleaded repeatedly and refused to leave, Babaji gave him a command: jump off this cliff. Without hesitation, the man jumped, fulfilling the supreme test of his faith. Mahavatar Babaji then climbed down the mountain, restored him to life, and formally accepted him under his spiritual refuge. We see the same divine protection in the life of Saint Kabir. He was such a great devotee that when the reigning king attempted to burn him alive, the flames could not touch him. They even tried to drown him, yet he emerged from the water as effortlessly as if it hadn't been there at all. To a true devotee, the voice of the divine resonates everywhere. They live continuously in the Anahtanada, the unstruck, eternal celestial sound. This is the true hallmark of a devotee. Even while walking through a chaotic crowd, they hear only the divine music of the Lord, while those walking beside them remain completely unaware of it. In that same crowd, if someone were to drop a single coin on the ground, the attention of ordinary people would immediately be drawn to the clinking sound. A devotee's focus, however, never wavers towards such things. Their attention remains fixed entirely on the eternal song of the divine. This is the fundamental difference between a true devotee and those entangled in the worldly illusion. We see this unwavering love in Mirabai as well. She was so profoundly devoted to Lord Krishna, so deeply immersed in divine love, that even when she was given a cup of lethal poison, it had no effect on her whatsoever. Similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was such an extraordinary devotee that he attained the divine purely through the ecstatic surrender of dance and song. The Lord also tests his devotees. He places them in the midst of various hardships so that they may grow resilient and mature in their faith. There is a short parable about a farmer that illustrates this beautifully. One day, the farmer complained to the Lord, saying, "When my fields don't need rain, you send down showers, and when they don't need sunshine, you scorch them with intense heat. You truly have no idea how hard a farmer's life is." He then challenged the Lord, "Give me control over nature for just 1 year, and see what an abundant harvest I produce." The Lord smiled and replied, "Very well. For the coming year, everything will happen entirely according to your wishes." So, the farmer sowed his seeds in the field. Whenever the crops needed water, he asked for rain, and the Lord showered the earth. Whenever he felt sunshine was needed, the sun shone brightly. He shielded his crops from every possible hardship and harsh weather, providing exactly what seemed comfortable at every moment. After 6 months, the crops grew tall and lush. The farmer was overjoyed to see his fields flourishing with thick, magnificent bushes. He thought to himself, "I have never seen such a magnificent harvest in my entire life." Filled with pride and delight, he invited the Lord to his fields to show him what an extraordinary crop he had grown this time. The Lord simply watched in silence. When it was finally time to harvest, the farmer saw that although the crops had grown exceptionally tall, the grains of wheat inside the husks were surprisingly small. Upon examining them more closely, he realized that the grains lacked any sweetness or richness. Perplexed, he asked the Lord, "I did everything on time, and provided everything they needed. Why are the grains so small and entirely lacking in sweetness?" The Lord gently replied, "Sweetness does not enter life without struggle. You shielded these plants from every difficulty. I, on the other hand, teach them how to endure and strive. When they expect sunshine, I sometimes send rain so they learn to stand resilient, and when they expect rain, I bring intense heat so they grow deep, sturdy roots. It is only through struggle that they draw true nourishment and strength. I do the exact same thing with my devotees. I guide them toward becoming complete devotees only after they have grown strong through every challenge and have merged entirely with me. Only then do they become a true reflection of my divine form. Hearing this, the farmer finally understood that nothing of true, lasting value can ever be achieved without hard work, resilience, and passing through the trials of life. We see this same unwavering dedication in the story of Nachiketa, who was a profound devotee of the Lord from early childhood. Driven by a deep quest for self-realization, he journeyed all the way to Yamraj, the Lord of Death. There, he courageously asked Yamraj the deepest questions about truth and existence. Deeply moved by the young boy's sincerity and unwavering devotion, Yamraj imparted to him the ultimate knowledge of the soul, even at such a tender age. This profound spiritual awakening was the supreme achievement of his pure and steadfast devotion. Through his supreme devotion to his teacher, Eklavya achieved such extraordinary mastery in archery that even Dronacharya was left in complete astonishment. Dronacharya wondered, even without any formal instruction from me, Eklavya has become such a magnificent archer. He is many times better than even Arjuna. When you reach the highest pinnacle of devotion, the divine blesses you with mastery in every aspect of life. However, Dronacharya did not display the greatness of a true spiritual master. He did not want Eklavya to become a greater archer than Arjuna. Because of this, he asked for Eklavya's right thumb as his offering to the teacher. Without a moment's hesitation, out of pure devotion to his master, Eklavya severed his thumb and laid it at his feet. This is precisely why the entire world still remembers Eklavya today with the highest reverence for his devotion, whereas Dronacharya is not viewed with that same elevated respect. There is immense power in devotion, and true devotion can never be destroyed under any circumstances. The legend of Satyavan and Savitri is another monumental testament to this truth. Through the supreme devotion she had for her husband, Savitri reached such a spiritual height that she reclaimed Satyavan's life directly from Yamraj, the Lord of Death. Not only did she secure a long life for her husband, but through that very same power of devotion, she also received the initiation of self-realization from Yamraj himself. In his profound epic, Savitri, Maharshi Sri Aurobindo has described the path of devotion in extraordinary depth. He explains that through devotion, a person can attain the divine with remarkable ease. Furthermore, one's devotion can move the Lord so deeply that the seeker is blessed with the ultimate knowledge of the entire cosmos. Therefore, there is tremendous power in devotion, because devotion itself is nothing less than the very manifestation of the divine. Ramanuj revealed a simple and accessible path to attain the divine through devotion, and Saint Kabir was also among his greatest disciples. Kabir deeply desired to become Ramanuj's disciple. However, during that era, because Kabir was a weaver by trade and considered to be from a lower caste, It was not possible for him to be accepted through conventional means. Yet, his yearning was so profound that he was determined to make Ramanuj his spiritual master at any cost. This stands as a magnificent example of devotion to one's Guru. When Kabir learned that Ramanuj went to bathe in the holy Ganges every morning at 4 a.m., while it was still dark, he went and lay down on the river steps. Unable to see in the darkness, Ramanuj accidentally stepped on him. Instantly, the sacred name of Ram came forth from his lips. Kabir immediately bowed down before him in complete reverence and said, "I have received my Guru Mantra." Thus, even though it happened unexpectedly, Ramanuj gracefully accepted Kabir as his disciple. When a true devotee sets their heart on attaining something through the Lord's grace, they never hesitate or step back from making whatever effort is required. There is another inspiring story involving one of Ramanuj's greatest disciples. Ramanuj actively spread the path of Vaishnav devotion, the worship of Lord Vishnu. During that period in South India, the traditions of Shankaracharya were widely revered, and the local ruler was a staunch devotee of Lord Shiva. The king did not approve of Ramanuj spreading this path of devotion and wanted to punish him by any means necessary. One day, the king sent his soldiers to Ramanuj's ashram. When one of Ramanuj's devoted disciples realized that if his master were taken away, his life would be in grave danger, he immediately disguised himself as Ramanuj. He tied his turban in the exact same style, applied the same sacred mark on his forehead, and boldly told the soldiers, "I am Ramanuj." The soldiers took him away to the court. The king asked him many challenging questions, and ultimately, as a cruel punishment, had him blinded. When Ramanuj learned of what had happened, he felt immense grief. To protect the legacy of his teachings, he left his ashram and went into exile. Out of profound devotion to his Guru, that selfless disciple had willingly sacrificed his very eyesight. 5 years later, after that cruel king had passed away, Ramanuj finally returned from his exile. He honored his devoted disciple for his supreme sacrifice and unwavering faith, and from that moment on, their teachings and devotion were celebrated everywhere. There is another remarkable incident from that era, a time when the region was divided into many small kingdoms. In one such kingdom, someone had cast a dark spell on the king's young daughter, causing her severe distress and restlessness. The king tried every possible remedy to heal her, but nothing worked. Finally, Ramanuj arrived at the royal court. The moment he gently placed his hand upon the young girl, she was instantly healed and restored to complete health. News of this miracle spread, and praise for Ramanuj echoed in every direction. He dedicated his life to awakening divine devotion everywhere he went. He consistently taught that the divine could be reached simply through pure love and devotion. While Adi Shankaracharya had emphasized the path of deep meditation and knowledge, Ramanuj warmly championed the path of devotion, offering great encouragement and hope to those who found it difficult to engage in silent meditation. We see this same grace in the life of Raman Maharshi, who guided his own mother to liberation through the path of devotion. For her, following the path of self-inquiry, asking, "Who am I?" was simply not possible. While, "Who am I?" is a profound path of meditation, Raman Maharshi taught through both meditation and devotion, and it was ultimately through the path of devotion that he led his mother to spiritual liberation. During the reign of Emperor Akbar, Tansen was the supreme musician in the royal court. One day, Akbar praised him deeply, saying, "There cannot possibly be a greater musician than you in this entire world." Tansen humbled himself and replied, "Your Majesty, I perform music merely to please you and to earn a living. But my Guru, he is completely beyond comparison." Akbar insisted, "No one could possibly be greater than you." To this, Tansen explained, "My Guru sings solely for the Lord. You must listen to him just once to understand." Akbar commanded, "Invite him here to the court at once." But Tansen explained, "He never goes anywhere for anyone." So, at 4 o'clock in the morning, Akbar and Tansen quietly went to the Guru's humble hut. Listening to his divine music, Akbar was so profoundly moved that tears flowed endlessly from his eyes. He experienced an indescribable spiritual bliss. For 2 whole days afterward, Akbar remained in such deep ecstasy that he could not even speak to Tansen. When he finally found his words, he said, "I could never have even imagined a musician of such divine greatness." Tansen gently replied, "I sing for wealth and worldly reward, but he sings purely for the Lord. He creates music out of sheer devotion." Devotion has no connection to wealth or worldly desire. And truly, anyone who merges with the Lord through the path of devotion has no equal in this entire universe. So the question arises, if devotion does not naturally awaken in everyone's heart, and if everyone cannot readily feel such deep love, what should a person do? This is where the path shown by Adi Shankaracharya becomes so important. If you walk the path of meditation, go deep within it, and merge with the divine, rising even above the physical awareness of your breath, then such a profound wave of love and devotion will awaken in your heart that words cannot even describe it. Whether you reach the divine through the path of devotion or through the path of meditation, in the end, both paths unite you with the very same ultimate reality. That supreme essence is one. It is the same in devotion, and it is the same in meditation. The ultimate goal is simply to merge our individual consciousness with the Supreme Consciousness. Through whichever method this union happens, it makes no difference at all. Saint Kabir attained his exalted spiritual stature entirely through this path of devotion. In his time, he was revered as a spiritual master by both Hindus and Muslims alike. But who were his birth parents? The truth is, he was born to an unmarried woman who left the newborn child near a pond, where a kindly Muslim couple found him and brought him home to raise as their own. He spent his entire life weaving cloth, yet he wove every piece of fabric as a sacred offering to the Lord. He lived just as close to Allah as he did to Brahma. When the time came for him to leave this world, his Hindu and Muslim followers began to argue among themselves. One group wanted to cremate his body according to Hindu tradition, while the other wanted to bury him according to Islamic tradition. Amid the dispute, a wise elder spoke up and said, "Lift the shroud first and see Kabir's physical state." When they lifted the cloth, they were astonished to find that Kabir's physical body was entirely gone. In its place lay only a heap of fragrant flowers. He had attained such a supreme spiritual state that he had transformed his mortal body into flowers. In peace, the Hindus took half of the flowers, the Muslims took the other half, and both communities lovingly performed his final rites according to their own traditions. This is the supreme state of a true devotee. No matter their background or path of worship, to them, Allah, Brahma, and the Lord are all entirely equal and the same. Despite being a simple weaver by trade, Saint Kabir accepted Ramanuj as his guru and immersed himself deeply in devotion to Lord Ram. Yet, in his eyes, there was absolutely no difference between Allah and God. He recognized that all divine forms are merely different expressions of the same one. To a true devotee, there is only one universal consciousness and one divine reality. Their ultimate purpose is simply to merge their individual consciousness into that supreme consciousness. This is the highest spiritual practice and the ultimate truth we must realize in our lives, to become completely one with the divine. The glory of devotion is truly endless, and to a person of devotion, all is equal and sacred. Therefore, seek and worship the Lord in whichever form speaks to your heart. Thank you.